Good morning. Yes, I realized there's no sound. Actually, just when you wrote Vigantas. Okay, sorry about that. That's annoying. Alrighty, I will have to start again. That's great. Let's see. Sorry about that delay, first of all, and we'll get the show on the road. So welcome once again to our live trading room here at Admiral Markets. My name is Chris Svorcik. So glad that you could join us on the 18th of June 2013, Tuesday. As always, before we start, the usual risk disclaimer telling you that trading foreign exchange and global financial markets is considered high risk. Please be aware of that and seek the advice of an independent financial advisor. Trading global financial markets may not be suitable for all investors. And this video and educational webinar and trading room is for educational purposes only. All right, so thank you for your attention on that. I just want to do a quick sound check just in case that everything should be working. If a few of you could write a yes or a Y, that would be great. So today we're going to be, as usual, perfect. Thank you for that confirmation. Great. So as usual, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays in June. And hopefully also maybe after that, we'll see. But in any case, to the end of the June, 7:45 to 9:15 London time, we're going to take a look at my charts. All right, we're going to be trading my 2,000 euros, which is maybe a bit small account, but I chose it on purpose as well in a way to see if to prove to myself I can also grow an account with a bit smaller amount maybe. The trades we're going to be looking at is the London Open trade, which is 11 minutes from now. Then some breakout trades. We'll also be looking at the swing trades that I talked about on Thursday, June the 13th. Thursday, the webinar, I was discussing some intra-week swing trades, and maybe you took a trade or two already using that awesome oscillator strategy. I took one on the euro odd and the odd dollar. Those are going well. So if you did, we can discuss that and look for targets and stuff like that. We're refocusing especially on breakouts, though, and here you can see those black boxes are consolidations, corrections, sideways moves, however you call it. And then you have breakouts to the downside after that. Make sure to take a look at Admiral Markets in social media, Twitter and Facebook, and maybe even Google+. And now it's time to take a quick look at our Forex calendar. And we had a announcement from the ECB President Draghi, which has already been completed. We have a lot of pound news, as you can see. List is quite extensive. A few of them are medium. And then 2 hours, 10 minutes from now, we have the German ZEW economic sentiment. Later on in the day, we have some good USD news as well. So please be aware of that with regard to your risk. All right. So let's move on to the charts. And I wanted to actually look at the euro odd. I thought it was going to be interesting today. Odd is losing pretty heavily against the New Zealand. Is losing against the dollar. Is losing against the pound. So the odd, versus the other major currencies seems to be the weakest of them all. And so far, the euro dollar is kind of hanging in the balance here at the moment. Recently, it's no clear winner. I mean, sure, this is an uptrend, but if you really look at the last action, it's kind of in the balance, as you can see, a wedge forming. So if the Aussie dollar euro odd, in a way, doesn't look like there should be much of a difference at the moment. Maybe this euro dollar is moving back to support. I would prefer the euro odd then, in that case, just a tad maybe. Then again, if the euro dollar breaks to the downside, then the odd dollar might be better. But anyhow, so this is the way you can use correlations and currencies to maybe choose the best currency at that time. So we will be talking about currency correlations actually soon with Tarantula, by the way. So make sure to catch that webinar. But to me, the euro odd looked pretty nice. The euro is also a bit stronger than the pound. The euro pound is moving up a bit, although it's stuck in a wedge. So that's why the euro odd to the upside look interesting. Of course, we do have some resistance here. We're approaching as well, but definitely a nice break yesterday. I don't know if anyone caught that, but nice upside on the euro odd again after a three-wave correction, which for you Elliott wavers you might know is an ABC correction here. So let's see. But before we look into the euro odd, I do want to quickly look at the pound dollar, which is our usual London setup. Let's see if anything finally materialized on this one. Probably not, I guess, because it looks like already a strong break of the pound to the downside here. Let me clear up some of my lines. Well, I can do that at the objects list actually, but easier. Let me just take everything off. That's a lot better. Good. So 15-minute world. We're looking for the between the 5 and 7 a.m. London time, which is and the top and bottom of that session, which is this. But you can see already clearly a break again in the European session. So pretty big break actually, 30 pips to the downside already. So that broke already during the European session again. That passed us. So in that case, we're free to move on. The pound, to me, by the way, just in between brackets, because we're looking at this anyhow, is not interesting to trade this to the downside personally. Although it's maybe on a 15-minute chart, it's a nice trend to the downside. But I'm not looking for 15-minute trends. I'm looking more for 4-hour trends or 1 hour and day chart trends. And this thing is, in that regard, still upside. Unless we break this weekly low. There's a weekly candle here. You can see a pretty strong bullish weekly candle last week. Now, there's no reason for me to change the opinion on the pound, which is to the upside, of course, logically, because we're making bullish weekly candles, which means we're moving up. Clearly higher highs and higher lows on this weekly candle. So there's nothing to change that view, like I've been thinking already ever since we bounced off the 786 here, actually, that could be a turning spot, right? So there's nothing to change as yet. Unless we break this weekly low, then things will change. Otherwise, this is just a retrace of that weekly candle for a likely break of these highs, and then should be careful of the 618 resistance still and the target. And then after that, we have some confluence here at this minus 618 and 786 if we get there. All right, so that's a quick view on my view on the pound dollar. Nothing changed unless really this 155-ish, 154.94 is the low, I think, here. Unless that breaks, then I'm definitely going to revisit this, reanalyze it, rethink it. But otherwise, until then, I see no reason really to become bearish. So any move down here, let's see. Could even put a fib on this upside because that's for me the key level. So if I put a fib on here, you can see we had if I move it just a bit down, maybe like this, we had a 50 fib bounce here, kind of like double top, to be honest. And so the next support level could be again the 50 or the 618. Probably those two are the most likely. And with the very deep correction, we can go to these fibs. And you have here the 89 EMA as well. So let's see how far it can go. Maybe even here, who knows? You never know with a trend. I wanted to take a look at the euro odd. I don't know if you had anything particular in mind today, but to me the euro odd and euro CAD look kind of interesting today. So let's maybe start with the euro odd. When I was pre-scanning it, the euro odd looked interesting. Also the odd dollar, in a way, too. So as I said, no, not sure which one I want to prefer, but maybe a bit still the euro odd. Let's start with that one. If you have something you particularly like, just let me know. Okay, this is what I was interested in already since yesterday, actually. And let's see. Quick review of the week chart. We had a break. We had a tremendous downside. I mean, this was all the way coming from, I think, 2, to be honest. Yeah, 2 exactly. 2.1. I mean, a massive downside from 2008 to summer 2012, nearly decreasing half of its value. Then we had multiple divergences on the week chart here. So this bounce was, bound to happen at one point in time. And we got a 3-wave up here, and then a correction to the 618 fib. So we stopped at the 272 target, but we really only paused there a bit and just kept on going to the next target, which is the 618. There is a crucial high here as well, so this could be a level where we get some respect. That is a bit on the danger side here on the euro odd, to be honest. Then again, just because we have that target doesn't necessarily mean we make a big retrace. We already paused there significantly. If you look on the day chart, you can see we had already a lot of days down, or a couple of days down. So we had some respect. We had a bearish pin bar on the weekly, so that is a bit concerning. So definitely have to be careful of this high, because this could be just a retrace of this bearish candle on the week chart, and we could see more downside. That's something that's definitely possible, despite the uptrend. The weekly candle, pretty bearish. So unless we break that top by at least 10 pips or so, or 15, it could be a bigger retrace as well. Something to be aware of. Otherwise, fibs working nicely, as you can see, 618 to minus 618. It was just great trading to the upside, as I already said, the last 2 weeks. Now, on the day chart, this is like pretty good correction already. Let's see, I think a 50 probably of this last move up. Yeah, 50 fib, as you can see. So let's see. If this is still, the only thing I don't like about it is, in a way, is that this could be still a bigger correction down to the 618 and then upside. So that's something I have to be really careful of. Otherwise, now we do see a nice turn here already with bullish candles here. Let's see, 4-hour chart. We're breaking through this trend line, and if you would include this hit, we already broke actually out of it, like here. That's what I was looking at yesterday. Nice breaks to the upside. And even if you look at like this, there was even an earlier break on a lower time frame. The AO strategy would be to take the break of this 4-hour high and stop loss here and aim for a 1-to-1 or 2-to-1, which would basically be, for those of you who managed to catch that after the webinar last Thursday, which will be basically 142.20 would be the target. So basically double top, if I did my math correctly. No, I didn't. 141.20. It's actually, I think, yeah. Yeah, it's 150 plus 139.70. It's 141.20, sorry. So the target would be somewhere in here. So you can see why that's a high probability, because even if you get a bigger correction, you still made money off this trade right in here. Now, 2-to-1, of course, you're aiming for higher, then it's somewhere in here. That's why the percentage drops, but the R2R increases, and overall, it's still actually a better trade than going for 1-to-1. So it depends what you like. Yep, that is possible, Kayla, indeed. that's why definitely, if you took this trade here above this 4-hour fractal with your stop here, going for this case, maybe a 1-to-1 would make sense somewhere in here, because this motion of a correction, what we see on the 4-hour chart here, we could see on the day chart as well, which would mean that we could do something like this. Indeed. But I wouldn't speculate on anything to the downside, by the way, just in case, because that I think is too risky. I don't think it's worth that concentration on trades like that. For those of you who were thinking of, for example, your dollar downside last week, all that stuff didn't work out. It's just unless you're very, have a high level of skill like Tarantula that sees a certain downtrend and says, okay, the volume is low here, I'm taking downside. But to be honest, that was a 1-hour move down, which is maybe a downtrend on the 15-minute world, but it's counter trend on the 4-hour. So that takes a lot of experience to catch your profit with those types of moves. So what I'm really looking for is this upside continuation for a bit. So I was thinking about taking a break of this high and putting a stop loss, for example, here, and targeting, let's see, targeting the 786 probably. Let's see, that's 141.47. That is something like 56. There is a 618 close by though. That makes it a bit tricky. Let me get rid of this fibs here. Let me get rid of this one. For the moment, we don't need that, and this one I don't need, and this one I don't need. All right, that makes it a bit better. Not sure if we're using those retracement fibs because it looks more like we're after the target actually. Let me zoom this in. If you fib that first up move, you can see that we went to the target here, made a retrace, and then went to the next target, and then made again a pause. So this could be the next target actually, and this. And this very neatly. So that was a good breakout trade right in here, and a pretty good hook back. So those trades are past us. Those were trades I took on the Euro odd, but still looks good to me. I think there's a lot of momentum to the upside here. Oz is really losing ground against many currencies. So this seems the best correlation to me, to be honest. Let's see. So looking like a good momentum. Let me take a look at the 15-minute chart. Pushing up nicely through that top. That looks pretty good. Yeah, so I like this trade. There's huge uptrend. Looking good. Just want to be careful when we approach this top. Right in here. And that's 786. So let's see. This hour is just started. Already moved up quite a lot actually. Relatively. 16 pips. Let's see. The 4-hour target is one. Let me make a very accurate calculation here. 74, 141.20. So there's a high likelihood, because of the AO strategy here, was the entry right in here, right? That I was talking about on Thursday's webinar. So there's a high chance an 80% chance of reaching 141.20. So I think that's a good take profit target even for this smaller chart because of the 4-hour world. There's a high likelihood of going there. So there is a minus 1,000 target though at 141.04. Let's see. This is a fractal at 140. 17 would be the risk, 16. So let's see, I'm trying to calculate the risk. At 56, it's 40 pips. 56, the target. 56, 46, 66 pips is the risk. 40 pips is the risk. Reward is 66. 1.5 to 1. That's okay. I think, to be honest, that it could break higher, but I don't want to chance it. It definitely has a potential of respecting this top two, at least a bit, like this, for example. Like that is likely, and then we either get a continuation downside, or we find again support from our upside. So that's a bit of a question mark right in here. But otherwise, something like that is likely, although we could find maybe support even sooner. So that's a bit of a question mark here, which path we get after that move up, but let's see how price responds to that level when it gets there. Let's see. Yeah, looking good. So what I think I'm going to do is, well, maybe sometimes I would just actually take the break of this high here, 2 pips above it, which would be 57. So I'm thinking either of placing it the entry order at 57, or waiting for this hourly to close and just taking half of that candle. One of the two. Let me see on the 5-minute. Moving up pretty fast. Well, I'll just let this. This is already moving. I don't want to jump in now. I'm not jumping in this because there's always going to be there's bound to be some retracement at some point in time. Probably just wait for this to finish and wait for a hook back here. Let's maybe fib even this last move here. Let's see. 16. Maybe the break would have been better, but fortunately the break happened before I explained everything. I should have maybe done the entry order first, actually. Yeah, that's a bit annoying, actually. Well, I'll just wait for this hour candle to finish, I guess. I was planning to take the break here with you. Let's see, I'll put this is the low of this hour. Okay, so this fractal is pretty good. I don't see that low necessarily being broken right there. So maybe I'll reduce my risk by not using this 1-hour fractal, but make it even a smaller trade by using this level, because now that we broke this fractal, you can see clearly higher highs, higher lows already from here. And yet another break actually right in here. So originally I wanted to use that fractal as a stop loss, but I don't expect this hourly low to be broken already in the next hour. Just a small retrace here, and then continuation. So that could be a good way of reducing that risk. Let's see. It's a bit riskier, but I want to see if I can squeeze a bit more R2R out of the upside up to 140, 120, because the R2R is like 1.5 to 1, which is not bad, but with especially a lower time frame, I like to get a bit more. Maybe 2 to 1 would be nice, because the 4-hour word, I don't mind 1 to 1 because there's a high chance. Remember, 80% chance of reaching that target 1 to 1 and 60% of a 2 to 1. So that's something I like with the 4-hour chart, but maybe with a smaller chart. Smaller chart, it's I like to get a bit more. It's really moving fast. That's a pity. Yikes. Let's see. This candle, well, I'll just wait for this hour candle to finish now because there's nothing stopping it now. Let's see if this hour candle finishes 85, look for something like halfway in the 65 area with the stop here at 40 would give something like 25 pips for a 60 reward. That would be better. So I'll wait for that. That's my plan. I'll take a look again 47 minutes from now. Otherwise I'll get tempted, and that wouldn't be good because it's just keeps on pushing. So alrighty, next time I'll just explain less, and maybe the Euro CAD is still good to go. Let's see. Euro CAD, very nice break yesterday. I took this one myself as well. I take small risks, and that was a good break right in here. One of my breakout strategies. A nice little wedge here, as you see. Huge uptrend, plus a break of these weekly lines as well. And made a bit of a wedge here in that uptrend. So let me get rid of this fib actually. Alrighty. The Euro CAD, let's see, bounced off the 50 fib, I think. Yeah, almost 50. I took this 382, and I wanted to take the 618 to be honest, but didn't get there yet. Let's see. Here too, by the way, the 4-hour back to the zero line here. That's a bit tricky, this one, because it would have to be here or here, but there's no fractal somewhere here, although I don't know why. So it depends. This one also looking good for upside though, in any case. Let's see. 1 hour, just thinking, it's already bounced off the fib, and I like to take it more at a break or a fib, but not halfway in between, because now we're at a trend line actually, as you can see. That's why my hesitation, because we're at a trend line after a bounce, so we could still make one more move down to a lower fib and then bounce and break. That wouldn't be too good. So I'd rather, that's why I'm thinking out loud here what to do, because I'd rather wait maybe for a break here first before attempting it right at this trend line. I don't think that makes much sense. I'd rather wait for a break here of this trend line, for example, maybe. Let's see. Yeah, I'll give it some time. I don't think we'll break immediately. It made a pretty good move up. So if it makes a dip here and then maybe breaks, that would be more interesting. So this, we'll take a look at this one. Maybe it's going to take some time to make that dip and continuation. Probably need at least one more candle here and here to get a low, and then the break would take at least 2 candles, so we're talking about 20 minutes, so more like 35-ish, 9:35-ish. Okay, so let me write that down actually. 9:35 Euro CAD at 10 a.m. Euro odd. Alrighty. Let's see if there are any questions. Flavia jumped in when I was talking about it. Oh, that's good. I'm glad someone at least did so. Maybe I was a bit too shy. I was hoping actually for a fib retracement after the break, but got pretty impulsive indeed. But I'm glad you got it, Flavia. That's great. For those of you who didn't, definitely going to take a look at that at 10 o'clock because normally we do make a retracement, so eventually, although sometimes they do get impulsive. Let's see, Kaylin is asking 4060, yeah, 4060, I think it was. But just, I mean, like, few pips above this high plus your spread, 1 or 2 pips plus spread above this high, plus a stop loss usually underneath the other low, the opposite fractal, I mean, sorry. Usually if that's the time frame you're trading. Using the 5-minute world would have given a bit smaller fractal in retrospect, stop loss. Sometimes I do that, but I use that normally with trend lines, if there's a trend line, to be honest, not somewhere in here. Not when it had already broken. This is more like a pullback. I guess this is more like a break pullback continuation trade. So in that regard, using the stop loss of the same time frame makes sense. It's better. We'll be talking about stop losses, I think, this Thursday, by the way, just in case you want to know more about stop losses. We'll have that webinar Thursday, by coincidence. But what I do use with trend lines is then I do zoom in, for example, to 15-minute world to, instead of using 1 hour fractal, I use the 15-minute fractal upon breaking a good trend line, because that reduces the risk. Like this CAD, Euro CAD yesterday, for example. It's a 1 hour chart here, so usually the stop loss would be here. Sometimes the stop loss is the same. Let's see. I don't know if that's in this case. No, here it isn't. You see that the 1 hour stop loss would be here, but I zoomed in yesterday to this chart, took a break of this, and put my stop loss here, which reduces some risk, of course, right? But that's something I would only advise upon good breaks. That takes a bit maybe experience to find, qualify what is a good break, but one that has where I expect a lot of momentum coming into the market, like a trend line, a good trend line in a good trend usually does get that. So anyhow. Yeah, pound dollar, we can take a look at that. In a wedge, it depends. It depends on other time frames. If there's a good trend on the day chart and the 4 hours in a wedge, and there's a good trend line break, then I don't mind zooming into the 15-minute world and catching that piece of break on the 15-minute world where you get like 40, 50 pip movement of that break. Then it dies out and you usually get a bigger retrace on the 1 hour chart. And then if you like it, you could even take it on the fib for the next kind of like that would be the break on the 50-minute world, and on the 1 hour you could get the pullback. If you feel confident enough, you can even take that pullback, fib retracement, but that really depends. Not always are the pullbacks good, because they could be actually reversals. If you don't feel comfortable with the pullback, skip the fib and then wait maybe for the continuation indeed. So it really depends on case to case. There, maybe the euro dollar is a good example where we had a breakout yesterday. I definitely didn't take the. I'm not taking the pullbacks. Not thinking about it. Here we had. You can see this. Didn't trust this breakout personally, which was justified because it was a kind of a false one, because we made a pretty big pullback. We didn't break this low, so anyone who took that trade should have been safe. Let me take a look at the 15-minute world. At least on the other charts I use, yeah, that's funny. Here you got a bit of a stop loss. I mean, not stop loss. Stop loss taken here maybe. If you view this, no, it's the 5-minute world. Sorry. Let me see, 15-minute world. Yeah, I would have used this one here. Okay. Well, in that case, this would have been the stop loss would have been taken, and would have been a false breakout. I thought the stop loss would have survived, to be honest. So anyhow, good I didn't take it. That's was down to the same point in any case. I thought it would have survived and still would have gone for some profit, but I didn't trust this euro dollar breakout here, and justly so. So it is always a bit tricky. The euro CAD, euro AUD did look better to me, and they moved a lot. So same story here, this breakout and hook back. I don't like this hook back that much. I wouldn't be surprised if we get some deeper retracement. So really looking for a break of these tops, or nothing, or a move, or a continuation from deeper here. But anything here regarding breaks, pullbacks, I'm not touching, for example. So, and this is a pretty big wedge as well, right? That's a big wedge here. We had a nice uptrend channel, but it has turned into a huge wedge. So this break, pullback, not interested. Maybe the continuation indeed would be something different when we break this or retrace deeper. The euro AUD and euro CAD had better, in my opinion, and this was also a massive 4-hour wedge. First of all, it had more space to the top and definitely looked better. So I took, in this case, I did take the break and the pullback, and I'll take the continuation. And the euro AUD, same story here, break of this trend line, 4-hour entry on the Alstom oscillator, and a pullback on the fib. And this is basically, this is the break, pullback, continuation, and here. And in fact, actually, it happened earlier, maybe here. So this is the this is like the 5th entry or something like that. Don't take all of them, because we had a break in here, a break in here. Really, a lot of breaks. This was a smaller break in here. This was a bigger break. This was the 4-hour oscillator. This was a 382 fib, and a breakout and another breakout. So continuation. So really a lot of them here. Pound dollar. Intentional move. Let's see. $30, $30, $30, $30, $30. Difficult to tell. I'm not that focused on yeah. To be honest, I really look more at swing trades nowadays. So I'm not that geared like I was when I traded only the pound dollar 2 years ago, for a while at least. So that rhythm I kind of lost. I know that this down move is quite extensive for a European Open, as I was already saying. Let's see. For the pound, just like the euro, I think any intentional move to the upside would really only be upon a break of this shoulder, this high probably. That's really, I would only be interested. But also on the pound, we have a big 618 pretty close by actually. Now this could have been the 618 hit already with the pullback. Makes it a bit tricky. Euro doesn't seem to have the resistance that close by. It seems to be a bit further away, to me at least. That's a bit tricky. So really for me, any move to the upside would have to break these levels. So that would be, in my opinion, the only intentional move that I would be interested in. Let me say it this way. It could be the intention to bring it down, but I don't know. I would skip that. Dejan, yeah, sure we can. Just trying to figure out. It is a bit tricky with that. I haven't looked at it in so long with that regard because I have that information, but it's not that I actively use it. That's why. Anymore, at least. Maybe if we break this low, though, there could be really some intention to go down. This, if we don't break this low, this could be like a false spike for some. They could stay within this range in here. The whole 5 hours. Break this top a bit by 8 pips. This is the Asian high. 8 pips. That's why I have a second orange line there. Then come down and stay within that range for long. It would have a ranging type of day. But any break of this top, especially, but also the 8 pip break of the Asian high, and this low would probably make it more intentional. Let's see, time-wise, we can look at time factor 2. Let's see, we stayed 2, 3, 6, 1.5 hours under here. So let's see if we stay long enough, maybe under. Let me check the level. If we stay long enough under these levels here, that too under these levels. If we stay long enough here, that too could be an indication that we might break to the downside actually, which I'm not interested in once again because I'm more focused on catching with the trade. But from an intraday perspective, the longer the currency stays under a certain level, the more chance it is that this is not a false spike down, and the bigger chances that we'll actually make that break of this level as well. For those of you who are wondering what I'm talking about, there is a video on GU characteristics from a while back that explains what I have observed and also have learned from other traders regarding pound, not only pound dollar, some things pound dollar, but also some things regarding other currencies. Okay, no problem, Alfonso. So let's take Dejan. We can take a look at gold. No problem. If anyone else has a preference, let me know. Let me see. Where's gold? Gold is really, in my opinion, very simple actually. To be honest, in a way, but I just zoom out a bit. I'll go to the week chart, sorry. So I've been writing about gold downside ever since I started writing a column, an article in January, which was here, and man, that was massive. Very nice. And this had such a momentum to the downside that eventually a break of this bottom I think is still very likely. But the question is it from here or is it from a bit higher before we make that one more downfall? I think is quite probable. You can see that we missed the 683 target just by a bit. We had a flat right in here. You see many ups and downs within that area after a downside impulse, and you see that's when we got the continuation, I should say. So, or even like this, right? In any case, so there's still some space left maybe for one more fall, especially because if you look at this momentum to the downside, it's maybe more visible on the day chart. This was really the most powerful part of this entire downside. So that looks likely, but so I would only be interested in a break of this 1320 for more downside, or downside when we would be able to retrace back to this broken bottom, which should be now a resistance spot. A huge bottom like that normally is something of a magnet, or not a could be a magnet that price gets attracted to, but I mean that if price gets there, should definitely become, I mean, there's a high probability of becoming resistance. You never know, but especially because the break was quite big. It's not like a small break. If it's a smallish break and we move back into that above the level we broke, you know, or then of course definitely not, but let me rephrase that. If we break by a bit, then the resistance could still become resistance, but it's less strong. This was definitely a big break. So if we get back to this level, it should be resistance. So either a break of this or a hook back and bounce off of this. In the meantime, we're not doing anything. We're just stuck in this wedge. And the downside break of that wedge is a bit tricky because you have not so much space to the downside until you bump into these bottoms already. Not saying that the downside wouldn't work. There could be some good trades, but very smallish, as you can see, because these levels could still be some support. Probably if we break this trend line, we will only bounce a bit, and we will probably continue, but you never know. That's why it's still good to be aware of those bouncing spots. So not much, and because of that, there's not much space to the downside. But if you do this, a break to the upside, a break of these tops, and upside is counter trend, but has more space, maybe back to this top and back to that huge resistance level. So this upside is definitely a bit riskier in my opinion. The best would be either from here or a bottom break, as I already saying. It looks quite weakish, this correction to the upside. So, Chris, in that regard, you could be right. It does look pretty bearish, especially this move up is hardly any power and it's just going nowhere. So a break could definitely happen. A break could definitely happen indeed. So keeping these trend lines on and keeping this bottom or these bottoms like that would give a good indication of the playing field in my opinion, plus these resistance if it were to break to the upside. I think those would be the major support resistance trend lines, and it's 50-50 in my opinion. Yes, there's a massive downtrend. Yes, we're going to break this bottom in my opinion, but it could be from here or it could be right now, or I mean upon this break. Let me say it this way. But definitely it does look bearish. I agree with you. jump here. I'm not sure which book you're talking about. Can you specify? I wasn't aware I was talking about a book, but I do have sometimes memory problems, I guess. No, just kidding. I I don't remember. Can you let me know? Flavia, we're going to take a look at Swiss. We can do that. Sure thing. Oh yeah, 9:35. So it's 9:37 now. I just want to take a look at the cat again. Eurocat. Let's see. This could be. Looks like we're breaking right now. Actually, 15-minute world. Yeah, could be pretty interesting. Flavia, are you from Italy? Alessandro is asking, by the way. Let's see, the stop loss would be 660, 62. A small stop loss, 20 pips. Ooh, I don't remember giving a reference for a book or site concerning the USD. No. Does anyone know about a book by any chance? Maybe I forgot. Did I refer to any book? Okay, no problem. Just jump here. Yeah. But if anyone does remember any reference, please let me know, okay? Let's see. Just taking a look at the USD CAD to see what the CAD is doing. Making higher highs, higher lows. Did break out of this correction as well. Let's see. Yeah, looks like we're breaking right now. So maybe I'll take this one. 62, 604. Let's see. 49. Okay. So I'll just wait for a small dip. Let's see. I'll put it on EuroCAD. Oh wow, that's a pretty big one here. Otherwise, I'll maybe focus a bit more on the Euro odd. I think that's a bit better in terms of spread. Yeah, that's a bit better. Okay, so I think I'll rather wait for the Euro odd, to be honest, because the spread is definitely better here. It's very small. It's only, let's see, something like a half a pip or 0.7, which is a lot better than something like the EuroCAD, especially because it's a smaller trade. It's only up to 136.50-ish is the initial target for this breakout because it's a small time frame here. It's only the 5-minute world. So that's 20 pip risk. Would have been a 20 pip risk for 50 target, but you know, that's a bit. It doesn't make sense for a 50-minute world trade if the risk is a bit bigger. I mean, the spread is a bit bigger. If it would be a 4-hour trade that is aiming for 200 pips, it doesn't really matter. But in this case, I didn't realize that's a pretty big factor. I mean, a pretty big slice of it for such a small time frame trade. So didn't realize that. So I think it's better to take a break on the Euro odd here. It would have been better actually. Oh well. So the euro odd is still on the list, but I'm going to take a look at it. So I'll scrap that CAD and for the moment, at least for the 50-minute world here. Didn't realize that. Let's see. The euro odd is pushing a lot, so let's see how that ends this hour. That's looking pretty aggressive. That's a pity. That would have been a good one. But still think we'll make a retrace. Let's see, 50-minute world. But maybe a bit later, because something probably like this will have to happen. Or like this. So let's see, 1 hour chart. Yeah, something like this, I was hoping for. Or I'm hoping for. Something like where we have a good 1 hour candle, but we have something of a retrace. We don't break the last hour's low, and we get a continuation of that candle. Like that. But the only thing is that this hour is turning out to be quite impulsive, so there could be an immediate push actually next hour, and then we get a bigger retrace. That's one of the disadvantages, I guess, of not taking a fractal break immediately. And that's why breakout trades are good as well, besides fibs, because otherwise, if you only take fibs, you only catch maybe this one and this one here, but you don't take this or this or this or this. The blue ones are the fibs, and the green are the breakouts. Dollar yen. Oh, by the way, I don't know if you can see the chat, Alessandro, but Flavia said that he does have some Italian blood and still speaks it, but he does not have a EU passport. I hope, by the way, Chris, that makes sense on gold. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me just take a quick look at the Aussie New Zealand is still moving to the downside. We got that break of this bigger wedge here, as you see. I still have the lines on. Just want to take a look at all of them, actually. Let me take a look at Euro Pound as well. So Euro Pound is moving up, but then again, it is approaching this resistance line. And that's a pretty big wedge, as you can see. It's just a massive wedge, actually. I mean, tons of lines you can draw on here. And that's just really a funky, wacky wedge here. Really, really strange. So would I not want to trade it by necessarily Euro Pound, but we could see a respect at this level and see it fall back maybe to the bottom again. I mean, that wouldn't be very strange unless this would be the time that we break here to the upside, which is possible, but I think still if we break a bit of a respect like this before we break is definitely in the cards. If not, a total move down back to this bottom, and then probably again another bounce. So that would mean that pound would start to be strengthening sometime or another against the euro. which means that maybe the pound odd and pound New Zealand, besides the euro odd, which already moved quite a distance, and the euro New Zealand, which just broke, that's because the odd New Zealand is moving to the downside. That's why, of course, the euro odd has moved the most, and the euro New Zealand less. That's why I was interested in the euro odd as the first one, first of all. But then again, because that one has moved already quite a while, and I'm worried that maybe at the top of the hour we already reached the target actually. In the meantime, that maybe the pound odd or pound New Zealand could give some entry or opportunity. So here too, basically breaking this trend line as we speak actually, but you could have had the trend line earlier as well, and something like this would have been possible in my opinion, although it's a bit funky to be honest if we do it like that. But euro odd looked a bit better with the trend lines. This because this had such a big push up that the angle is kind of wacky. Here too, the same story about that euro odd actually. Potential of moving down for a deeper correction, but then again, this three-wave move could have been all of the correction as well. That's why actually any longs yesterday on all of them were good because, and were safer in here because we have a likelihood of pushing up. Even if we make a retracement like this, you still catch a good trade, and you still have the likelihood of continuing to the upside as well. So that's why those were good. But now we're already here actually, which makes it a bit trickier, but you see that also on the euro we had pretty good momentum actually. So this looks pretty good actually. Let me check pound odd. That's good spread. Nice. Nothing wrong for 50. I mean, good spread for a 50-minute world. Let me say it this way. 2 pips. Let me fib this upside. Stopped at the 272 target and made a retrace there. So the next one will be the 618 target. To bounce, so that would mean this 618 is the target. All right. I'm not too concerned about this 618 at the moment because we had a deep bounce to the 786 here, as you see. So the initial target is the 272. That has been completed. Then we got a very low, shallow 382 bounce. That target is the 618. So that would be at 166.28. Still pretty far from here. And just like the pound odd, we had a break here, kind of a flag, and then continuation as well. Stalled a bit at this target, which is logical. So if we break above here with maybe a tight stop loss here, that could be an interesting trade as well, I think. We already had multiple breaks. It would definitely be a break, pullback, continuation trade. Alrighty, so I'll try this one. Let's see. I will put it at 1 pip above plus the spread, which is 56 plus, looks like a 2, let's say on average 2, but sometimes 2.2, so I just make it safe, 2.5. And plus 1 pip is 3.5, is 165.85. Stop loss. Same story. Let's see. 165.25 probably. $25 or 27. 165.27. Wait, I made a mistake, didn't I? 165. It's not 165.85. It's 165. 165.53.5. Yeah. Alrighty. And then I will change it to 165.27. And I will go for the 618 target, which is at 166.26 or 166.20 for the moment. But I might trail stop it. I'll tell you what I do exactly when it gets taken in. But using, for example, maybe, let's see, it's a 5-minute trade. So let's see. If we top, probably what I was looking for is something like this momentum actually. And if we make a small continuation dip like this, if it then breaks the top by 8 pips, I'll take my profit probably, which would be, for example, you see here momentum, small dip, continuation, and this last push up, that's where I'll take the profit. So it's difficult to say exactly, but that's what I would be doing like this. I'm not sure if we'll catch it. No, only 20 minutes left. Probably won't happen anyhow in this session, but what I'll be looking for is this, a momentum up, hopefully, then a dip down, and then a continuation. And if it breaks, then if it breaks this top by 8 pips, that's what I would take my profit. So that would be, you can see here, we broke 155.10, and we went to 31. Oh, that's 21 pips difference. Anyhow, usually pound likes to break by 8, so anyhow, the take profit would be clearly taken hit. In some cases, it could be enough momentum to bring it all the way here and maybe even take this take profit right away. That's why I have it there. But so let's see, that's 26.5 risk and 67 at the moment. 2.5 to 1. That's good. Alrighty. Moving averages, Norman, are, well, it depends which chart I'm looking at, but most of the time fib moving averages. So it's a combination of 13, 34, 55, 89, 144. Dejan asked about the yen. We'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at the Swissy. I promised Jean-Pierre, I think. No. Who did I promise that to? That's Flavia. Yeah, sorry. So US Swissy and US yen on their way. And Kalen, Aussie. Yeah, good questions. So we broke this high, and I'm in. The euro odd is also approaching the end of the hour, but looking at the size of the hour, what I was a bit afraid of is that it's just pushing and pushing and pushing, and it's not realistic to, I mean, probably hit the target before it makes every trade, unfortunately, so that's a pity. It would have been a good trade. 154. Basically, what I took now on the pound odd is what I was thinking about on the euro odd, but I was thinking about the 1 hour time frame, but what I'm doing now on the pound odd is the 5-minute world. The same thing basically here, entry here and stop loss here. But this one is already behind us, but just to show what I'm hoping for to catch on the pound odd instead of the euro odd here. All right, so this would have been same, yes, also like 2025, but would have been up already 50, which is a pity. But I hope to catch the same now on this pound odd as well. So let's see. Although, as I said, originally I was thinking about the 1 hour setup, not this is a 5 minute. So let's see. The odd dollar is made a nice break indeed. Actually, I was more focused on the euro odd and euro CAD, as I said, but this too could have been a good. Here you can see here was a nice break. First break here. Then we got a bigger pullback to a 50 fib actually. If you fib this down move here, there are a lot of it's just sometimes really so many currencies, so many setups, and usually they all happen at the same time. It's really funny, but that's because the market is normally like consolidating, and then you get a break, and then. But here we had a nice break and a 50% hook back. So this is like the first break. This is the pullback, and then a continuation here as well. So multiple ways of trading it. You could take the break, you could take the pullback, and or the continuation here. A lot of downside trades possible. I didn't take this one because I was focused on the euro odd. I did take the 4 hour world though, as I said. So that's on this time frame, right? And then you have also the 4 hour possibility here, right? So a lot of setups possible. And the target for that one would be 95.60. That's 80 pip risk. So 95.60 means 94.80 is the target. So probably the target has been hit already. So if you took that trade, let's see, 95, let me calculate it correctly, 95.50, 95, 90 pips, so it's a bit lower actually, 95.50, 94.60, sorry, 94.60, so it came very close. So still a few pips to go. That's also, my coincidence one-to-one would be the 618, which is good, because to answer your question, the reason why I didn't like this 1 hour setups that much was, I mean, it's good, but I like the euro odd a bit more because I don't know. It's very close, to be honest. The difference, there was not much difference. So I just had to choose, I guess. They're in a way very similar setups. So anyhow, especially because with the euro dollar was more of an uptrend. Maybe that's why I still had a slight advantage for the euro odd. That's the only thing actually. To answer your question, the upside had a pretty good correction on the 4 hour, but on the day chart, we see that it's just basically just a move up, a retracement, a bigger retracement. This is still definitely a high. This is definitely a higher low. This is definitely a lower low. This is definitely lower lows in here, higher lows, lower highs. We don't even have a higher low yet. Nothing. But despite that, we do have 4 hour divergence. So that's why I have a fib on this upside like this, just in case we could see bounces at the 618 or 786. Maybe just a small bounce and then continuation. Small bounce, continuation, small bounce, continuation. That's definitely possible. But why I want to be careful not to short it, at least right in front of the fib, is it could potentially make bigger retracements. Back to here, somewhere in here, back to this top, and then we could see another downside. That's definitely possible. So that's why it's a bit tricky now. We could see something like this happen, or like this, and then down. But it doesn't have to be. We could still see downside continuation as well. So that's a bit of a question mark. We'll have to see how price responds to these levels at the 618, 786, how they react. Especially I would say the 786, I think, but how did they react? Slowish, bear flaggish, or is it a massive upside and then a very small downside? So, I mean, Flavia has a point that we shouldn't underestimate the downside power. That's for sure. So I agree with you on that one. Then again, I don't want to send you out there with a bad, idea that this is always downside. It doesn't really have to. Yes, there is a big trend, but still at those fib levels, I've seen it tons of times that we do get a bigger correction. Just look at the pound, for example, on a very recent example, when we made upside correction, downside continuation, but where did we stop? Right at the 786 fib double bottom, and we made one more correction. So that's something could happen with the Aussie. I just want to make you aware of that possibility, that you don't short it right in front of the 786 and then you see it reverse on you and you think, wow, how's that possible? We're in a downtrend, we're moving down, why doesn't it continue down? Well, that's why. So just wanted to make you aware of that. I don't, right? It's something I want to actually start doing more research on, because I've heard definitely good things from other traders who do use it, and would definitely recommend to look into it. But I don't use it actively. I know about it, I'm aware of it, but I don't use it. I would have to, do some research on that, to be honest, because I think it does. I mean, that man had was really had a lot of good things he brought to trading. So he must have known a lot that I can learn from. So I want to spend more time on that, actually. The Swissy. No, sorry, it's the yen. Okay, first the yen then. Yeah, we have still old trend lines from the rising wedge and uptrend channel. We broke that already, and a long time ago. Definitely a downtrend, but you can see we are, as I was saying to some friends as well, I wouldn't be surprised to see some upside here a bit, because just like the euro, dollar, and pound, we had a pretty good close near the low. But the thing is that although it's a very bearish candle, some upside is logical to retrace this candle, and that wouldn't surprise me. Of course, when we get back to this high, that's definitely a resistance, and it looks like we are getting at least some upside pressure. The question is to how far. We could turn at any point for one more downside. One thing we should note is that this is definitely support levels where if we do break this low, we could find support at those levels. At the moment, I'm still bearish because of this weekly candle, but if we were to make something of a bullish candle this week, we'll have to revisit that. So I'm still bearish. Looking at last week, any move up should find resistance. Any break of this low should eventually find some support, although the difference is, let me take a look, the low of this candle is 93.80, 92.50, 130 pips here, the difference. So some downside and then support. That's the playing field when looking at a week chart. And if I zoom into the day chart, maybe this trend line could still be resistance. Otherwise, maybe any of these fib as well. You can see here in the 4-hour chart we're making already a higher lows. And I personally wouldn't be surprised to or maybe already breaking, if we break here to the upside. Now I'm not interested in that break because it's counter trend, but it looks like it's going to happen. We still have to break this top. Otherwise, I think we can make it move up to the 382 fib, which is only a small space. The problem is that although the break of this is likely, there's only a small space to the 382. That could be a resistance spot and double top, or the 50, or the 618 and this trend line. All right. So that's something of a question mark. But it looks like we'll get that break. A break to the downside would be interesting because it's with the trend, but like gold, there's not much space to the bottoms here. So that's a bit tricky. But once we break this bottom, then there's more space. 292.50, 92.70. And also, just like, which one was it? No, it doesn't matter. Also, if it were, like gold, if it were to make a bigger retracement, then anything from here would also be more interesting. Let's see. If you have questions, let me know. What the indications are for trend reversal, fibs, huge support resistances, divergence. We have divergence between these bottoms as well, by the way, on the 4-hour chart, as you can see. That could give cause for a bigger correction, which in fact, that correction would give that retrace on the weekly chart of the weekly candle, I should say, for example. Depends also if we respect this trend line, if we break out of it, we could still find resistance at the 788.86, but then the game does change a bit because then any down move back to this trend line could, for example, find support again, and then we might, we could be already in an uptrend again. So this trend line is important. Anything under the trend line and under the 618 is bearish. A break of that trend line, anything above the 618, will still find resistance at these fibs, but then I would have to reanalyze it, and the chart could be positioned already for higher highs, higher lows, and we might be turning. What else? Candlestick formations, price action. Is it impulsive, or is it a slowish move, corrective? Your any oscillators you use in oversold, overbought that you're used to, all those things could be good for indications of trend reversals. Chart patterns, like we had a rising wedge here on the yen, for example, which I wrote an article about, that here, even a steeper rising wedge than this one, as you see. So chart pattern is also important. Let's take a look at Swissy, and then we'll take a look at Karen was asking for gold, silver, and U.S. oil. We looked at gold already. Karen, I don't know if you probably didn't see that. We can take a look at that quickly, but otherwise we already looked at that, okay? But we can take a look at silver and U.S. oil and the U.S. dollar index. But first Swissy. But wait, first, trade didn't go anywhere, unfortunately. Oh wow, the cat did move up a lot. That's a pity. Was definitely looking good, but I don't think, I'd rather focus on euro out or pound out if the spread is a lot better on those. So let's see. Yeah, where's the pound out? Where is that? Right in here. Okay. It did move up to 72. 72. So, was up 18 pips actually. I see. But got a bit of a retracement. That's probably the euro pound, I guess. Let me take a look at the euro pound. Sorry, I was looking for it. Okay, so yeah, that's a pity because I was hoping for a at least a bounce, but wow, that's why the euro odd is I was hoping for the bounce here that would fuel that pound odd more, but obviously we got the break, which is a pity for the pound odd um, because the euro is now strongest against the pound, against the odd, against New Zealand. So, and that's why the euro CAD is of course moving up so much. How's the euro dollar doing? Also moving up actually. So we did get a bounce here at that support level. I didn't trust it much, but we did get a bounce there. Sometimes even it's always tricky not to underestimate a trend. It's really I focus on it almost daily, and still sometimes I do. So not to underestimate the trend, and still happens. But anyhow, what can you do? This is not a trend. The euro pound is definitely not a trend, by the way. It's in a wedge. So assuming that the wedge could still make a bounce here, I think is definitely normal. Look, you got many respects here. Just unlucky that we got a break, or I got a break. I mean, for those of you who took the euro odd, it doesn't matter. You must be smiling because we reached 131.33. That's well past the 141.20 target. So congratulations if you took it. Someone did, I remember. So that was a good trade here for you. 60 pips, I think, versus 50 risk. That's why I wasn't too fond of it, right? Because it's actually less than 1.5 to 1. 60, it's more like a 1.2 to 1. But it was very likely, though. Okay, Flavia, happy about that. Just made his day, he said. So very happy. At least someone caught it, not me. But, so I'm still crossing my fingers for the pound odd. But yeah, that euro pound is kind of throwing debris into the chains of this upside. The only good thing I like it is that we broke above this 272 minus 272. So I hope we'll quickly find support, and the odds will continue to weaken against all of the currencies, not only against the euro. Pound New Zealand also moving down a bit. Euro New Zealand, of course, continuing up. That's because the euro is winning against the pound. And let me take a look at the odd New Zealand. Odd New Zealand continuing down, which is good for me because that means that at least New Zealand has some more strength against the odd. So out of the odd New Zealand, odd is the weakest. Out of the euro pound, pound is the weakest. That's why the euro odd was the best, and the pound New Zealand is actually the least strongly correlated at the moment. The pound odd is somewhere in between. Let's see. It's a 1 hour chart. Where do I have my stop loss? It's 27. 27. So it's not below this 1 hour low. That's a bit of an annoyance, actually. 27. 27. Yeah, that's kind of annoying in a way, because we could retrace this 1 hour candle. Basically the initial move up on this pound odd, so let's compare it to this euro odd. You can see The euro odd just kept on going, 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 going. That's good. Small, very small pause here. But the pound odd actually only made a small move up and already found quite some resistance. So could see a bigger retrace. That's a bit alarming. Maybe should have kept a bit better eye on this pound odd and taking off the risk if we were up a few pips like that, 20 maybe. Let's see, 5-minute world. Yeah, the thing is that not sure how much support this will provide because of the fact that we already made a initial move up, which didn't go too far, and now we're moving down. So I don't necessarily think this could be some support. I'm not saying it won't be. It will not mean the whole world. I mean, it's not like this is a major level. This could be better here because it's a 1-hour candle here. We have basically somewhere like this. Yeah, Chris is out. I can imagine. So it definitely could move something like this and then move up. That's a bit tricky. 50-minute candle doesn't look too good as well. We could definitely see a bigger retrace of this 15-minute world move up to a 50 fib and then a bounce, for example. So yeah, maybe just take a few dollars loss here and wait a bit on the sidelines for the moment. I didn't go as I was hoping for. We did get a 18, 20 pip move here, but maybe I'll follow Chris because the stop loss doesn't really mean much, I think, here. So maybe should have moved it sooner to +1. Yeah, I'm trying to look to other charts as well, of course. All right, so. All right. Let's see, how many pips was that? 54, 54, 14, 13 pip minus there. And it was a 26, so half of that, I think. 26, yeah, half of it. So I closed it out for a bit of half of that risk. And I was up 71, 71, 20-ish. It's a bit soon maybe to move it to +1. Then again, if you compare it to the euro odd, you can definitely see the difference in the speed it moved away on the 5-minute world. And even if you move it here to +1 around here, it wouldn't definitely have survived and would have made that up move. So it's fast. Then again, if it's really a good move, it does make sense. So next time, if you see something like this, just warn me because I'm looking at other charts. I'm really focused on this chart. So this was a kind of an annoying candle here. So it still could continue, by the way, but nothing. Definitely could still be support. It's just that I'd rather have a 1-hour low support me, which we don't. This could retrace anywhere in here and then finally move up. It doesn't have to stop exactly at the 5-minute fractal. That's why if this 5-minute fractal would be equal to the 1-hour low, then I would have sort of kept it. Now, maybe I was a bit premature and we get support here and we do move up, but still, that's the reason I didn't like it. All right, that's the reason, the 1-hour chart. Let's see, anything I wanted to add? Plus, we're closing the room as well in a few minutes. So, yeah, I don't know. It's made more sense to me. Let's see. So we'll take a look at those, and then I'll close it up. Oh wait, the Swissy. I don't think we looked at the Swissy yet. The Swissy, same like the euro. I mean the same like the euro in the sense that it's the opposite, like it should be or it normally is. in a way, to a certain degree. A lot of wicks at the tops here. We passively broke through these trend lines, which means that there's not much power to the upside. It's just going sideways. This was a pretty big daily candle, but if you look at the wicks, it's not going anywhere. So making a bit of a kind of sideways correction actually. So break of this low could send it lower to this low, and then maybe if we break that after a bounce probably, then we could go continue again, maybe, probably, or we could still see a bigger correction like this, and then maybe downside. Now there is, let's see, we are maybe approaching a bit of support here, so any down move would bump into a big support here, definitely, on the week chart. All right, and anything else on the day chart? Well, let's take a look at dollar index maybe to get a bit more information. I mean, this was a massive move down, so some correction, one more fall, and then maybe even a trend change could happen. It's a bit tricky. The euro dollar looks also good for upside, so upside continuation sometime this week or next week. So that would be the opposite for here. But if we break this bottom, we are definitely bumping into some support here. Any move up would bump into resistance here. And any of this target, for example, here, 618, would definitely be resistance. If it moves up instead of down, then we probably could still make that fall, maybe even to here. We'll have to see how price moves. It could be up to here as well. And then maybe we have some trend change, for example. So that's a bit tricky. So I would say the key levels are these tops and bottoms right in here. This level, definitely, the bottom here, and 680 target, and this. Those are key levels on the Swiss franc. If we look at the dollar index, that kind of confirms the fact that we could be moving back towards support at some point in our trend line and 786, but we're not there quite yet. So some upside and down then looking possible as well, but some space to the downside left. But when we make that fall, then looks like we're bumping into some support. Then we could get a bounce there. The dollar index definitely confirming that as well. Quick recap of gold for the person who asked. I'm looking basically for a break of this 1320 for downside, or a break of 1420 for upside up to 1490, and maybe then 1530. 1530 is a massive resistance, but price action looking very bearish, so a break of this trend line could see some small trades in between these support levels, with the bigger trade under the big bottom. Oil, I'm not sure if I have oil actually here, because I don't trade it, so I have no idea. I don't see it personally. I don't even see silver here at the moment. No, I don't. Let me check. So I don't see it actually. So gold will be the one we'll have to Unless I'm missing something. Oh, there it is. Yeah, there it is. Sorry about that. Let's see. Well, there's a bit of a difference here in the fact that, of course, after the massive downside, we had this move down already, which means like that gold still expecting that bottom break, but because this move down on gold didn't break this bottom here, but it did on silver. So a bit of a difference there in the structure. But still, if gold would break that bottom, there is also a likelihood of breaking this bottom. But this is a pretty massive level that has been reached 2015. That's quite extended already. I mean, I remember that back in summer here, I had an entry order at 1980 for gold, for silver, because I expected the break of this descending wedge, a fast break, and I already had an entry order at 1980 at that time. And we actually missed it by, we went to 2013 now. But anyhow, it happened a bit later, as you realize, because we had one more push up, and then the fall came that I expected already in 2012. But so silver a bit different than gold, maybe because it really reached a high level. Can we make one more bottom break and move a dollar down to 1880 into this area? Yes, it still could. It still could, just like gold could make that break. Guess this trend line would be interesting to see. If we break that, we could maybe make a bigger correction just like gold. And this trend line probably as well. And otherwise, this bottom will be important if we were if we were to break up above this trend line, then any move to the 26 is definitely a high likelihood of a resistance line, right? Because that's a pretty major level. Just like gold at the 1530, the equivalent of gold's major bottom is 26 for silver. So, but yeah, interesting times on silver, just like gold. I mean, massive downside and a massive impulse. And I know a lot of traders trading this to the upside, and I'm afraid that some definitely got caught with this downside, not expecting the break. Despite some of my warnings, to be honest, but because this was definitely looking like a descending wedge. I was anticipating to break even earlier, but finally, downside, and this massive break of this bottom. Awesome stuff. For those of you who did expect the downside, not so good for those of you who expected upside. But sooner or later, it's bound to rebound. I'm sure. But could be after this bottom break. Then who knows, we can make maybe slowly but surely, once we break here, we can maybe slowly but surely start building a bit of an uptrend here eventually on gold and silver. But unless we break this bottom, or we move up to this resistance and then break the bottom, or see some serious signs that this downside is over, still definitely could have that bearish potential. All right, so that's silver. I didn't find gold, Karen. So oil. Sorry about that. Unless I'm missing something, but I don't see it at the moment. But I'm trying to scan the charts the list very fast because I don't want to make it too boring for you, but I cannot see it. So let me take a quick look. Yeah, Euro New Zealand pound out did get the bounce there. Yeah, maybe should have maybe had a bit more resilience here and aimed for break even, but anyhow, just a few dollars. Or if you did take a bigger risk then and you close it, then it was half of the risk. In that regard, the euro odd still pushing. And how is the euro CAD doing? Look, because I'm still in that trade myself, but that's a different trade. And then I'll round it up. Or let me take a quick look, see if I see anything interesting for you. Aussie, not really. Euro pound, wow, breaking to the upside. So euro dollar really breaking above this top now, wow. Not sure what that Draghi said, but definitely making it bullish. So a lot of bullish momentum on this euro. I think that is a bit of a surprise. To be honest, I did expect one more correction here for upside. That's why I didn't like the euro dollar that much. I liked the euro odd a bit more because I saw that the odd had definitely potential to fall. So that's why I like the odd long-term 4-hour trade and the euro odd the most, as I said. But wow, this is pretty interesting. Just like the euro pound break, definitely a lot of euro potential here. Where's that euro CAD? Euro CAD here. Wow, that's going very well. Righty, that's good for the other trades. Let me quickly scan the 4-hour charts. I want to see if there's a bit of a swing trade. For those of you who swing trade, possible. No. This is behind us, just like the Aussie. I'm not sure if anyone took the Aussie break here, but that was good. I'm scanning similar setups if we have anything like this Aussie downside setup, and the euro odd as well, by the way. Euro yen, not yet. Maybe the dollar Swissy maybe could have the same actually. That could be a swing trade actually. The AO is back to the zero line. So the entry would be upon the fractal break and stop loss here. That's one of those 4-hour AO examples actually. We just broke this hour. Yeah, so the stop loss looks something like 60-ish. 60-ish, which means a 1-to-1 target would be 91.50-ish, and a 2-to-1 target would be 90.80-ish, I think. Let's see. Pound Swiss already broke actually. Similar actually here. But that happened already 2 hours ago. CAD, nothing. EuroCAD happened as well, as I said. Remember I was explaining earlier in our session, a break of this or this would be that AO trade. That's going well as well. 4-hour chart, that's behind us as well, right? The AO. I'm not only looking at swing trades, 4-hour AO, just quickly for you. Euro New Zealand is behind us, same story. Yeah, not worth taking all of them, right? Because that would be probably too difficult. With too much risk, for sure, but just showing that a lot of them already at target or well on their way with the 4-hour world. So that's about it. So many of them already have happened, like the Euro New Zealand pound odd, pound New Zealand, Euro New Zealand, Euro CAD. Pound Swiss, those are well on the way. Dollar Swiss is happening right now. Dollar already well on its way. Yeah, almost at target. New Zealand dollar as well. Maybe already at target. I don't know. I didn't check. And we check the euro dollar actually. No, euro dollar didn't qualify. You see, the AO is not back to the zero line. That is one of the reasons why I still expected I was still cautious with the euro dollar because I want to move back to the zero line. This didn't qualify yet, so that's why I moved back a bit lower for a correction. Wouldn't have surprised me, and that's why I didn't like the euro dollar as much as the euro odd, as I already said. But you see, in this case, still upside continuation. Yeah. So the only one that is currently available, I think, is that dollar Swiss. The rest are all traveling at the moment as we speak. All right. So that's a quick heads up of the 4-hour chart. 4-hour AO swing setup. I'm going to wrap it up here and drink some water. So hope to see you tomorrow. That would be Wednesday, the 19th of June. Let's see how the dollar Swissy goes and the others. If you took those, I hope so. It would be good. If not, I hope maybe you took the euro odd. And if you took the pound odd, I'm sorry. What can we do? Maybe you had a bit more resilience than I, and still managed to get a break-even trade out of it. But yeah, that's one of those things that always makes me nervous. This 5-minute chart, to be honest. But yeah, that's why I like the 1-hour world a bit more, because I have those highs and lows here. That's why I didn't like this trade that much, but still actually keeping its head high. So wouldn't be surprised if we get some follow through on the pound odd as well. But let's see. But just in case that you bump into this in the future, you can see that when you get these breaks, or the euro odd is better actually. When you get these breaks here, that's nice trading. And as I said last hour, actually, I was already worried about halfway the candle that was looking too bullish for retrace, and that's what I was indeed afraid of was happening. That got an immediate continuation just because it was too bullish, too much strength there, and we're just reaching targets in one shot, more or less. That's a pity, in the sense that I didn't take it, but good for those who did take it. Yeah, so that wraps it up. Thanks for being here, and I wish you good trading and a very good day. Cheers, everyone.
The organizer